evening. I'd like to welcome you and call to order the Village of Morton Planning Commission meeting for February 24th, 2014. Let's start. Trustee Newhouse, did you want to introduce a couple people in the audience?
Just would like to introduce His Honor the Mayor, Ronald Ranson, who's with us as a guest this evening, and my colleague, Jeff Kaufman, Village Trustee, is here observing this evening.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I guess the first order of business is the roll call by the clerk.
Ritterbusch.
Here.
Net.
Here.
Keach.
Here.
Rhine.
Here.
Elam.
Here.
Smock.
Here.
Zobrist. Westlake.
Here.
And Farrell. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay. The next order of business is approval of the meeting minutes from December 16th, 2013. The minutes were provided with your agenda. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or changes they'd like to make? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor of approving as they were written, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. So the minutes are approved as they were published. Agenda item number 3 on the public hearing section. I'd ask that the village attorney provide us with a brief overview of the process tonight.
Thank you. Public hearings are being held tonight pursuant to published notice. Any person wishing to address the Plan Commission will be afforded an opportunity to do so. Any person addressing the Plan Commission will be sworn in by our court reporter and will give their testimony under oath or affirmation. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the Plan Commission will make a recommendation to the Village Board. The Plan Commission makes recommendations only. The Village Board takes final action.
The first item for our public hearing tonight is petition number 14-01SP. Bethel Evangelical Lutheran Church is seeking a special use permit to allow for the school and church at 325 East Queenwood Road, currently zoned R1. Is there a representative from the church that would like to speak to this tonight?
Yes, sir.
If you could stand and be sworn in, and then at the podium, provide your address.
Good evening. My name's Kenneth Newman. I reside at 408 East Tyler Street here in Morton, and I'm here to represent Bethel Lutheran Church this evening. Bethel Lutheran Church has been part of the Morton community since 1945. Presently, our church facility is located at 425 North Missouri Avenue. Bethel Lutheran Church has operated a Christian preschool here in the community since 1952 and a Christian day school since 1983. In 1991, the church purchased the 30 acres on Queenwood Road, located at 325 Queenwood Road. That property was purchased at the time for the purpose of relocating our church, school, and preschool operations over a period of years. Our first build out there was completed in 1994 when we built the Christian day school, which is this facility right here. Our first class operation started in the fall of 1994. In 2001, we built that addition to the north and the gym to the west side of the school, and moved our preschool operation there. And that, I believe, began in the fall of 2002 when we started the operation there. At this point in time, we have come to desire to relocate our church to this site. We would request that a special use permit be granted to the church for the purpose of operating both our school and church at this location. We believe that the granting of the special use permit is necessary to allow us, the property owners, our full property, to enjoy our full property rights at that location. We believe that granting of the special use permit and allowing us to relocate our church to this site will allow us to continue to grow our church congregation, and we believe that this will benefit the welfare of the community by allowing us to continue to be part of the community and enhancing the moral character of the community. And we do not believe there will be any detrimental effect to the adjacent property owners, as we will be obviously complying with all the building, zoning, landscaping requirements that are in place at this time. Currently, we do have some preliminary site plans prepared, and our build, what we do intend to build in the way of a church facility, will basically be a projection at about a 45-degree angle from the existing school building coming out this direction, and it will reach approximately to that elevation line, the new facility. So that's about the location of what we're planning to build, and currently about just short of 29,000 square feet is what we're planning to build.
The additional parking that would be required, would that be in that same front area?
The parking will be located in this entire area, that shape. We will be constructing a lot of about 224 parking spaces in that location. We will have a second entrance out to Queenwood, coming in at approximately this location, and it will come into the parking lot, and we'll have circulation coming back out through the existing entrance.
Anyone on the board that has any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience tonight that would like to speak to this petition?
I have a question to what is going to be in that current steel strip along the east side.
You'd have to stand and be sworn in.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State your name.
Charles, so what will be in
Sir,
this?
you'll have to step up to the podium.
I was wondering what would be in the strip of ground adjacent to the church.
With this build, upon completion of the build, we will, all that will be turf at this point in time. In the athletic field, well, if you want to call it athletic field, the soccer field that's currently in the grass will be reloaded.
Oh, can you stand up? Sorry.
This strip will be grass when we're done. There's a soccer field in this area now, which will be relocated to the north. I think I'm not that tall. Not in that cultivated area to the north of the school.
Fantastic.
Roger, do you know what the offset is there? Like how many, that area that he's talking about?
I haven't seen their
Oh, okay.
building drawings yet.
Okay.
I don't think that'll be an issue. I think we'll get all that resolved.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak to this petition? there's no additional, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
If there's no other comments or questions, is there a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to approve petition number 14-02 SP as written.
01.
Oh, sorry, 01. 01 as written. Could we call the roll, please?
Keach,
Yes.
Net,
Yes.
Elam,
Yes.
Rhine,
Yes.
Ritterbusch.
Abstain.
Thank you. Smock,
Yes.
Westlake.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the board has approved the petition as written, and it'll be taken on to, or passed forward onto the village board for their review and final recommendations. The next item for tonight is petition number 14-02 SP. BV LLC is seeking a special use permit to allow for a retirement center at 935 East Jefferson, currently zoned R2. And for those of you who were at the Planning Commission last year, this is a continuance of, or not a continuance, a renewal of the petition from last year. PV did not act within the amount of time that was required, so now we will rehear that petition. Is there anyone in the audience that's, if you could stand and be sworn in, please.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name's Pete Schwigerott with Miller Valentine Group, 9349 Waterstone Boulevard in Cincinnati, Ohio. Miller Valentine Group is a full-service developer. We've been in existence now for over 50 years. We've been doing housing for about 21 years. We've done about 120 different developments containing over 11,000 units throughout the Midwest and the Southeast. Most of what we're doing these days is senior housing, and I see a lot of familiar faces, so hopefully you remember us from last year. We are not the owners of the building. We are the applicant, and we do have the agreement from the sellers to seek out this conditional use, special use permit, and we are working on a contract that would allow us to acquire the building. We would be applying for financing, and basically it would all be contingent upon some of the financing sources and so forth coming through. Last year when we came to you, thank you very much for your recommendation and passing on, and that did, we hoped was going to give us an opportunity to bring this forward last year. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the site control we needed in the time we needed, and that unfortunately required us to pass on the opportunity for the year. Now we've come back to the table trying to work with the sellers again to do the same exact development, which would be senior independent living. So it would be age restricted, 55 plus, and we're looking at, I think, somewhere in the realm of 40 to 50-ish senior independent living rental units. So they are rental units. They are a full 1-bed and 2-bed units. 1 beds will contain roughly 700 square feet. 2 beds will contain roughly 900 square foot. We'll have on-site management. We'll have a community room, a theater, a fitness center, a lot of on-site senior amenities, including transportation and some other services. So with this special use permit up to, I think, expire in less than a month, if I remember, if we are going to attempt again, we would need to have that extended for another year so that we can show our financing that we do have the conditional use permit in place long enough for us to get through this process. So with that, we are not, again, changing the building any, not going up any stories, not adding on to the building, staying within the building envelope, completely renovating and updating that. It'll be a green building. It'll be roughly $8 to $9 million worth of development work. So with that, I certainly am happy to answer any questions from you in the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any Anyone on the board that would like to ask any questions before we go to the audience? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board tonight on this petition? I guess from my perspective, we looked at this last year, and I thought it was a good use and a good investment in Morton. If there's any other comments that people would like to have, otherwise.
I do have one
Yeah.
question. I think last time you met with us, I think you talked about $11 million.
Yeah.
Was there a change in the plan, and
No.
what are you basically going to be renovating of the building that will be $8 to $9 million?
Well, it'll be a complete gut. So you're talking full mechanical systems. The walls get blown out. I mean, what's there now is nursing rooms. They're more like hospital rooms, and so sometimes you're blowing 2 to 3 or 4 of those out to create a full residence. And I apologize. When we came in last time, we were hoping maybe we could grow this, and we're still working on architecture, and it's going to be somewhere between 40 and 60 units, and that's the difference between $8 and $12 million worth of development. So, I think I'm trying to make sure if I change my number, it's not because there's less investment. It's more about the amount of investment per unit, and that's going to roughly be all-in cost about $200,000 per unit. So if we can create 40 units in the building, it's going to be $8 million. If we can create 60 units in the building, it could be as much as $12 million.
Okay, thank you.
I was more aggressive with my architecture that day, I guess.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we accept petition number 14-02 SP.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. May I ask the clerk to call the roll?
Smock.
Yes.
Ritterbusch.
Yes.
Rhine.
Yes.
Neff.
Yes.
Keach.
Yes.
Elam.
Yes.
And Westlake.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for your considerations.
Thank you. The board has made our recommendation. That will be passed along to the village board for their review. And so the next item we have tonight is a request to amend the municipal code, section 10-6-3-B, regarding a car wash as special use in B2. Roger or Trustee Newhouse like to address?
I can address it, Mr. Chairman. We have a proposal from a business partnership for a car wash in B2 zoning, which is not now provided as a permitted use or a special use in B2. After presentation to the village board, the village board agreement that it should be passed on to the Plan Commission for review of the ordinance. It's neither recommended nor opposed. It's simply referenced for your review to determine if such car washes should be, or car washes at all, should be included in B2. I think we anticipate probably a public hearing, but leave it to the Plan Commission then to review the ordinance, make a finding, and then make a recommendation that would come back to the village board.
Okay.
So that's all there is to that one.
Before we leave that one real quick, Roger, is that something that you can provide us with some examples of B2 and that we can look at of where these type of car washes could be put? Just some areas that are primarily B2 for our next meeting.
For that, yeah, whatever you want me to bring, I'll be glad to put
Okay.
together.
I think it would be helpful just if everybody else agrees that, we have some examples of highly B2 areas within the city that we could kind of see, does it fit within there? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. With respect to the residential and commercial mixed use zoning classification, if you saw the TV coverage of the meeting, you know that was generally favorable reception by the trustees. Talked to Commissioner Farrell further, and I think the consensus among the trustees was we're ready to proceed with it. we'd like the Plan Commission to give it one more quick review, make sure there's nothing else you want us to consider at this point, or anything you feel is left out, or anything you want to change, and then I think we'll be ready to vote on it at the village board.
Okay.
And then finally, Mr. Chairman, one other thing that's not on your agenda for tonight, but will be coming, is a similar agreement by the board that the Plan Commission should review the ordinance that controls exterior building materials, which are now primarily masonry. There are certain provisions for exceptions, and the Sheet Metal Workers Union has acquired a building on Route 98. They will be submitting a sample of the material. Obviously, as sheet metal workers, they want something metallic. So you will be getting an assignment also to take a look at alternative building materials and see whether or not the proposed materials are consistent with the spirit of the ordinance.
Okay. Just a question on that. If we didn't look at this from an ordinance perspective, can that also be handled through a variance for that particular building?
No, I think it cannot. The ordinance that covers it is a Plan Commission-based ordinance. The village board has certain authority to grant variances, but this would not be typically, I think, a variance, but rather an alternative that's subject to review by the village board.
Okay.
And that's all I have tonight, sir.
Okay. So I guess for next month's meeting, if everyone could take a look at the downtown special use documentation and maybe come with questions, and we can add it to the...
I think both are listed as public hearings, both the car wash and the zoning are listed as, or the mixed use are listed as public hearings for your meeting tonight. So you could take final action on either matter. If you don't desire to take final action on either matter, then a motion to table would be in order.
Okay. Would anyone like to talk about the downtown special use tonight, or we would need to make a motion to continue?
Or final action if you so choose.
Or final action. Anyone would like to make that?
People here in the audience that maybe want to speak tonight.
Is there anyone from the audience tonight that would like to address or speak to the downtown mixed use of commercial and residential? Or the car wash? Sorry.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
On the car wash, I'd like to maybe just say something. If you go into the code 10-6-3 under the B3 classification, you have the car wash, it's called it's under the permitted use automobile washing establishments are listed as a permissible use under B3. So what this was looking at was essentially taking that B3 permitted use and making it a special use under B2. Now in B2, we already have automobile service stations as a special use. So I guess I don't see much difference between a car wash and a automobile service station in terms of its impact. I mean, they're both, automobiles are going in and out, and activities are going on. So I don't know how much more that the commission would like to study this, but basically I'm at a point where I'd make a motion that we change the ordinance to bring the permitted use in B3 for automotive washing facility also as a special use in B2.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to second that or have any comments?
I have a question. So what that would mean is that in a B2 district, a property owner would have to get a special use passed in order to build a car wash in B2, which would be a public hearing, correct? Right. So that would give the neighbors an opportunity to come and make comments and give their feedback on that development. It's not a permitted use, it's a special use. Therefore, there would be a public hearing on that.
Well, I think that's what we're looking for you to determine. Should it be permitted use, a special use?
Oh.
What should be the provision
Okay.
I mean, it says here special use, but I think we're looking for a careful review of the ordinance
Okay.
to determine whether it's appropriate. If you feel it's appropriate and can vote on it tonight, then that's your prerogative.
Well, since this is the first discussion on this, I'm more comfortable with continuing this to the next meeting myself. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I would agree with continuing it. Are we familiar with what other areas do, and if in other areas it's considered B2? Do we in other towns and?
There, just like in Morton, what's B2 in Morton is downtown, then that little area out there by Kmart, those aren't the same areas though. So I would suspect that if we were in Washington or East Peoria or Pekin, we might find the same thing. It may not be appropriate downtown, but you may think it's
Right.
okay out there. So that's why the special
Right, so
use.
special use, right? Because there may be areas where we don't want them to just be able to put in a
Right.
car wash without.
So what are the two car washes we have now? Are those,
They're
isn't one
in B3.
industrial?
B3.
B3.
Okay.
I guess my feeling is that if it were a special use, I'd be more open to putting a bow on it tonight. But if we decided to make it a permitted use, I'd like to think about that a little bit.
I agree, I'm fine with the special use. I'm a little more hesitant.
Well, the motion is for special use in B2.
I understand. And then I heard Mr. Newhouse say
It is
that-
special use. I was simply making an example of your scope of review, but the request is, yes, specifically it's for special use.
Okay.
I guess I'd like to see where we think that a lot of these areas would be, and maybe we do have that in, I think there's some drawings that we're getting or something like that that kind of have.
Well, there's a map, you can look on the zoning map to see where B2 is.
For some reason, it's white tonight.
Okay, all right.
That's what I was going to do, was get the zoning map up there and show you, but it's,
So we're primarily talking out by Kmart, you were saying downtown.
yeah, that's kind of a triangle-shaped piece by Kmart, all that plaza,
Yep.
downtown, Field Shopping Center. Those are primarily the B2
Okay.
areas.
You can see a little bit of it in that mixed-use presentation.
Is that the last page?
No, it's like the sixth slide in, maybe. It's actually right before they start getting numbered.
There's a loose map here tonight that we got too.
Yep, there you go.
This is all the downtown area.
And
though,
that's the
right?
downtown area, right? So that's not all of Morton, but that at least gives you an understanding where the B2 is in the downtown area.
Can we have it be specifically B2 that isn't part of the downtown district?
Well, that's why you just do special use. If you don't want it to be downtown, you don't grant the special use there.
Yeah, and I think you're better off not identifying the downtown area, because then it opens it up to areas that are right outside the downtown area. Well, maybe those are okay. So I think that, like Roger was saying, if you do a special use, it's up for review every time, so then you can decide based on what's nearby and around it.
Then with that special use, any conditions that you would see fit, you could apply, be it landscaping or whatever the case might be, you could impose those conditions on that when you grant it.
So is the area, we just approved the gas station by Kroger. That's all B2 right there, right? Yeah, because if it was backed up right next to the gas station, there's a lot of residential over there as well. And it backs up next to it. So I guess we have two motions right now, one for a continuum, one for.
Oh, mine was not a motion.
No?
I was just
Okay.
commenting.
So we just have one motion then to approve it as a special use, B2. Does anyone,
I'll second it.
okay. So we have a first and a second. We have a call of roll.
Ryan,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Teach,
Yes.
Elam. Yes. Westlake,
Yes.
Smock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So the next one we were talking about, we need to decide what we want to do with residential, commercial, mixed-use zoning classification.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I have not seen this yet. I didn't see the presentation. Is this essentially the same thing that we presented to the Plan Commission?
This is a little
Before.
different than what was presented to you
Okay,
back, whenever that was, last year.
all right.
I don't know that anybody's waiting for any, at our door, so
I just don't know what else changed, so is there any way, do you want to discuss what has changed?
Well, or was there any feedback that you received of areas from the mixed use that maybe they were thinking about?
Oh, for the mixed use? I think two things. One is, I think all the trustees were impressed by the work that was done and the clear depth of thought that went into it. It's a new ground for everybody. So when you say, were there any areas, there were some questions, concerns about making sure we had adequate access to properties within that. What would be the mixed-use zoning for trash collection, deliveries of materials, those kinds of things. And then make sure that we had accurately identified parking requirement. I think the recommended parking requirement was 1 space per occupied housing unit. One of the trustees suggested that might need to take a second look at that because people frequently own 2 automobiles and did we want to provide for 2 spaces? So those were only the two things that arose as specific questions. I think otherwise we're kind of in the same position of everybody. We think we're on the right track, and I think everybody feels pretty good about it. Probably something there that we haven't thought of, but I think most people feel that this is most of the trustees feel this is a step forward. So the thought was just let you have one more look at it in case we had missed something or there's something that you wanted to add, and then I think we'll be ready to vote on it.
Is there anything in here about the minimum number of units that would have to be included for this, or is it, like, can somebody put one, because all these pictures are real nice, right, where they're real long, but if somebody wants to put up just one in an open area that's really small, tear down an old section, put up a new that's really tall, and then is there any requirements or restrictions on how many that?
How many what?
How many units?
How many housing units?
Yeah. And downtown, is there a minimum of 3, a maximum of 200, or?
I don't think there's any, that you have recommended any such number, and the trustees have not entertained that. Well, I think we're open to it.
I'd say that as we talked about it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, but there's a lot of property in that district that's that are small lots, so you could presumably have a single unit above a shop downstairs, and that would be just fine under this ordinance.
And that's provided for now.
I think that's the way we want it. So. And I would say.
Square footage kind of sets the maximum.
Right.
Your square footage requirement would dictate to somebody how many they can put in.
And we gave a little bit of thought about parking. By the way, talking about number of parking spaces. We gave some thought to that too, and we thought 1 was okay because of just the, we're not trying to create a lot of parking lots downtown, or put a burden on a developer or a property owner to have to provide more than one parking space per unit, just because that does take so much space. And we are trying to build density with this ordinance of, of housing. So that would be, I think,
Yeah, I think
Craig,
the
would you
other
agree
thought
with me on
behind
that?
it,
Yeah.
As our,
Yeah,
our
definitely.
subcommittee?
Yeah.
That we would prefer to have it be one parking space.
and the idea behind it is you're living where you're going out to eat and
Right, and
to
that's gonna-
facilitate the walking around in that area.
It's
So
gonna-
while you may have 2 cars now, if you implement this sort of thing, then maybe you wouldn't need 2 cars.
And it's going to hopefully spur shop, small, maybe grocery store or something like that, or, shopping that's all available within a walking distance of your residence. So that's the idea behind it.
I'm hoping for grocery delivery.
Yeah, grocery.
And presumably, somebody that did a pretty upscale place would recognize that you needed 2 spots and install it as his or her commercial
Yeah, if they
prerogative.
want to, sure, have a
Yeah.
prerogative to do that.
Well, there's also a limit on 3 stories, so that takes care of part of the, you can't build that many apartments on, you can't go higher, so you got a square footage on a floor plan, and then you're gonna stay 2 stories above that, so you might have 2 apartments or 4 apartments, something like that, if it's enough frontage area, so I don't see there's a problem there with that.
Well, and wasn't your original point, though, your original question was, these pictures look nice because there's rows of them. Are we going to have an area where there's, small buildings and then this one tall, skinny little building that has the mixed use and then a bunch of small buildings? Is that what you were kind of getting
That was
at?
one of my original ones, and I guess I've been, I think, one of the ones that wavers on this every time we talk about it, and I'm just not a fan of this mixed use. And the other thing that I think about is, do we really want one company or one individual or one group of people controlling all the areas that are potentially available for rent in downtown? And if we have a large company that comes in and builds a lot of these, we're then saying that group or that company has control of that particular area and what is available in downtown Morton. I don't know. I think we should continue looking at this and get a chance to read through this document one more time. I don't think we've seen it in this format for at least 3 or 4 months. I think we've heard a couple motions. I'd be happy to set it to have the roll call if there was was there a second?
I didn't hear a motion.
No, we didn't
I don't
actually
think
have
there
any
was
of
a
that. So,
motion
if somebody wants to put a motion towards, I'd be happy to put that out there. But I think it makes sense that we at least read through it one more time before we.
Well, the very questions you've raised make me think that there's some wisdom in that. The trustees, when we get it from the trustees, will want to make an up or down vote. And with respect to ownership, incidentally, there has been no case so far where we have one owner who controls all of downtown Morton. There are 3 or 4 investors who own probably the largest number of commercial and adjacent buildings, but that is kind of a free enterprise commercial issue to some extent. And I'll take your counsel, but the question comes to how would we wind up in a situation where one person built, say, 30? Because I don't think the practical limitations would probably prevent any one individual from that. It'd be kind of an all or nothing investment. So, but that's what we want from the Plan Commission is recommendation and direction on that. So if you've got a concern, we want to hear it.
I'll make a motion that we table this until the next Plan Commission meeting and encourage all of the plan members to review it thoroughly and come back next month to take action on it.
I have another question, and that is on this map. Is this the map we originally proposed to you? Has that been vetted, so to speak, by staff and you know, we made that proposal for this map, and we just want to make sure that,
It's roughly the same map that we have been working with for what we've called downtown Morton or Old Morton for a long time. Staff's looked at it. The Business District Commission has looked at it.
okay,
Economic Development Council looked at it.
great.
That's not to say that the Plan Commission ought not take a second look at it and say, you know, we're not so sure about these streets or
answered my
add this or
question.
remove that. So
I just wanted to make sure other
Again,
groups have looked at it besides
part of your prerogative.
our group.
But it has been, but that's one of the risks. We've all been looking at it for a while. Maybe a second critical look from the Plan Commission
Okay.
is worth the time.
And I second the motion by Jerry to table this till the next meeting.
Okay. All those in, all those in favor of continuing till next meeting? Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We'll hold on till next meeting, the residential commercial mixed use. Roger, you have a long list of things here.
I was
I can
planning on
talk to
keeping
us
us here
about.
for a long time.
So it looks like all things to do with maps.
Yes, the list that you have been given, those are the list of items that you would have acted upon during this past year, be it zoning amendments, special use permits, plat approvals, property that we've annexed into the corporate limits. Those are all reflected now on the current maps that if you go online and look at them, they'll show all of those things. So we just need your recommendation to forward this on to the village board so they can approve it and we can stay legal with the state of Illinois.
So we just need to make a motion on it?
Please.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve the?
Make a motion, we approve.
I second.
We do it. All those in favor of approving the 2013 zoning map revisions as provided? Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Same. Okay, that's been approved.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Trustee Newhouse, did you have
Nothing
anything?
else from me. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, did you have anything you'd like to address the commission tonight?
No, I'm just very interested in how you deal with these issues, but we can come back to that.
Okay.
I have my opinions, but I'm learning to keep them to myself.
I should probably take a cue now. All right, so last order of business tonight is adjournment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All those, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.